Summer movie season is officially upon us, but will any of these movies make $1 billion at the box office? What's going on, guys? I'm Chris, and welcome back to another videos. Today I have a tier list ranking of the major summer 2026 releases based on how likely it is they will make $1 billion at the box office. One of these movies is already released, had a monster opening weekend. But before I get into this, hit that like button. Comment down below what summer 2026 releases you believe could make $1 billion at the box office, and of course, subscribe to that notification bell to be notified for all my future videos. But I'm going to go ahead and jump into this thing. I've got around 15, 16 movies here. The tiers I have today are high chance it makes $1 billion, definitely possible, maybe, unlikely, and no shot. Again, these are in release order, and I've actually seen one of these movies, that movie being The Devil Wears Prada 2. I have a review linked up above. Thoroughly enjoyed this. One of the most surprising movies of the year, because the first Devil Wears Prada I quite like. I rewatched it, enjoyed it even more. This second movie actually justified its existence, which is very rare for a sequel to do. It did not feel like a lazy slop. It had a story to tell with a lot to say about the current state of journalism in the world. Every actor brought their A game, and it has already made over 200 million globally. This thing, I think, is up to like 233 worldwide after 1 week. I see it going 400 or 500. So I don't think it's going to make $1 billion, but it's going to outgross the first movie, which I think did around 380 million worldwide. So I would say it's unlikely, but hey, huge win for The Devil Wears Prada 2 for a sequel to come out 20 years later and not be, a superhero film, a Star Wars film, and do that well. It bodes well because it's not just a lazy sequel. I think it justifies its existence. It's not going to do $1 billion, but it's still going to do well. Mortal Kombat 2 has no shot. I looked up the box office numbers for Mortal Kombat. That movie, the first one that came out, I think it was 2021. So it went same day to HBO Max in theaters. It did about 89 million. We don't know what it would have done if it was exclusively released in theaters. People could just watch it at home for free. I am going to say no shot, though. I just don't know if Mortal Kombat's fandom is there. I don't know many people at all who are excited about this movie. I'm sure a lot of you guys watching are fans, and there are fans of Mortal Kombat out there. But in the year 2026, I feel like that's dwindling. Yeah, I don't know why I was thinking this is PG-13. This thing's rated R. That's a huge deterrent in terms of its potential for box office. It could do 200 million, maybe, but has no shot of doing $1 billion. Then we've got a Star Wars movie. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first Star Wars film in theaters since 2019, which is insane to me. It makes no sense. The more I think about that, the angrier I get.
Fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering.
Star Wars had 9 and 10 and 11 films released in theaters, and they said, no, we're going fully in on animated television and TV shows based on animated characters, because that's what sells, baby. It makes zero sense to me. They've dropped the ball time and time again with movie ideas that were then forced into a TV show for some reason. We're back. This is a movie based on a TV show. To me, it screams scrapped 4th season of Mando, and now it's just called Mando and Grogu. Is the appeal there? I don't know anyone who's excited for this. I adore Star Wars. I just rewatched the original film yesterday for May the 4th. It's one of my favorites ever. I love the original trilogy, and I'm very romantic about a lot of Star Wars. Currently, hard to be there. That being said, the Star Wars name is there. Does Mando and Grogu still have the pull? I don't know, guys. This could feel like homework to folks. It opens late May. I see it doing, 400 million tops. And maybe I'm lowballing, but I just think 400 million tops. Maybe there's a world where somehow this is a slam dunk. It lands with folks, and they're flooding the theaters, and it does 750. So I got to put it in maybe because of the Star Wars name. I don't think it's going to sniff $1 billion personally, but maybe there is a world where it could happen because of the Star Wars name and it being the first Star Wars film since 2019 to be released theatrically. We'll see, though. I don't have a great feeling about it at the box office. Next, we have Masters of the Universe. I just think this one's going to flop, and I hate to say it. One of the trailers was pretty cool back a few months ago, but I don't know if there's any interest here, especially with younger audiences today. I know this is going to kind of function as a gateway, like an on-ramp to Masters of the Universe, but it's kind of a dead IP right now, and so I'm just going to say it has no shot. Kind of like a Mortal Kombat, where who's really the target audience for this one? People my age didn't grow up watching this. We'll see. It's going to be interesting, because I don't know if it's going to appeal to young kids, especially when in a summer where you've got a Star Wars movie, a Spider-Man movie, a Supergirl, Minions. Like, there are so many other options for families to go, take their kids. So that one's probably going to flop. And Jared Leto's kind of a curse, so I don't think that Jared Leto movie's making $1 billion. Next, we have Disclosure Day, an original Spielberg film that I have kind of delusionally convinced myself is going to be some sort of sequel to Close Encounters. If it's not, by the way, I won't be mad. That's just kind of a fun theory we're rolling with right now. Unlikely. This one is unlikely to make $1 billion. Original films that make $1 billion are very, very hard to come by. Yes, Spielberg is a big draw, but it's not the draw it was 20 years ago. And I just don't think this one's going to sell as well as I hope. There is intrigue with anything involving the extraterrestrial and aliens for sure. Emily Blunt's a big star, but there's no, like, Leo, Brad Pitt, Ryan Gosling in this movie. It's Josh O'Connor, it's Coleman Domingo, Colin Firth, Emily Blunt. They're big stars, but they aren't, you know, selling a movie on their own. Whereas with Project Hail Mary, it's like fully on Gosling's shoulders and the love of the book. F1, Brad Pitt's that guy. Those are like two recent box office hits that are sort of original films. Obviously they're based on something, but this one's gonna be a harder sell, so it's unlikely to make $1 billion. Scary Movie 6, legacy sequel of sorts to a parody horror franchise. It's gonna have its audience, it's gonna sell, but I'm actually gonna straight up say it's actually going to outgross the two movies in No Shot. It's unlikely to make $1 billion, but there is like a crazy world where it could just take off and do numbers. It is not coming close to $1 billion though. Then we got Toy Story 5. This is like mid to late June. This is where we're going to start getting into those $1 billion territory movies. This one is probably doing 1.5. I'm putting it in high chance that it does $1 billion. Even if it stinks, families trust the Toy Story name. Toy Story 4 made $1 billion in 2019. Toy Story 3 made $1 billion in 2010. Of course, the first two movies were hits back in the 90s. This movie is going to be big because families are going to take their kids to see it. Why? The parents are interested. They grew up on Toy Story. I mean, the first movie came out in 1995, guys. So Toy Story is a franchise that has generational appeal to kids now who have watched the films on streaming, or even kids who were young and saw Toy Story 4 when it came out. Now they're grown up and want to go see it. It's going to have that appeal to all the generations, even parents of kids in 1995, right? So people who were 30 in 1995 probably showed their kids Toy Story back then, and they're what, 60 now? Like 60 to 70 range. They'll go see it with the whole family. This thing's going to be a summer movie event, and it looks like it has a relevant story to tell. So if it's actually good and has rewatch value, on a weekday, you know, if a stay-at-home mom is hanging out with her kids and she's like, hey, let's go to the movies, they might see Toy Story 5 3 times. So, I mean, hell yeah, I think this movie's going to run it up, and I think it's actually going to be a win. I got a good feeling about it. Then we got Supergirl. Any superhero film, you know, Marvel, DC, it's always going to be in the conversation because of the brand, because of opening weekend numbers especially. I don't think it's possible for Supergirl to make $1 billion, but I'll put it in the maybe tier. I'll put it right alongside Mando and Grogu, where it's like, you have DC, it's, you know, Superman, Supergirl, it's maybe, you really don't know. It's unlikely. More so, I think both these movies aren't gonna, but it's like, you can have the conversation. You're not like fully insane, whereas you probably are if you say Masters of the Universe is gonna make $1 billion. Supergirl, like, maybe, okay? What if it is a home run? What if it has like a super high Rotten Tomatoes score? All the critics are raving about it. It's got rewatch value. Superman has like a 10-minute, you know, scene, and that gets out, so there's word of mouth about all this stuff. There are like factors that could play in favor of this. I lean it just underperforming, kind of like Mando and Grogu. I think these two are going to get eaten up by surrounding competition this summer. You can always pinpoint one or two movies that are going to get swallowed up. I think these two are, by a Toy Story 5 and by a lot of the July films. Like, you got to have legs to make $1 billion, and both these movies are kind of going to be out of people's minds by the time we get to mid-July, in my opinion at least. Next we have Minions and Monsters, which is the third Minions movie, I believe. I don't know what they're doing. Minions movies are never going to stop. They're just going to make variations of them all. The last one did like 930. Most of these print money. I am not going to say high chance. I'm going to say definitely possible. I think that the last Minions movie was like 2022. So it's been a few years. Is the franchise appeal dying off? Are people maybe aging out? There's potential for that. I'm going to say it's definitely possible. Like, I'm not going to come right out and say high chance, because Minions and Monsters might not sell as well as just Minions: The Rise of Gru, where you put Minions in a familiar character name or any of that stuff, or just a movie called Minions. Minions and Monsters, it doesn't roll off the tongue as well, so it's definitely possible. I think this movie's doing $700 million, so that's why I put it in that range. All it takes is one TikTok trend where people go to the theater as a meme, and this movie does $900 million, so it's definitely possible. I'm just not as high on this as I would be in 2023 if it came out, for example. Then we've got Moana, the live-action remake, a movie that I think is a surefire hit. Moana 2 did $1 billion. Moana 1 is a huge hit on streaming. The live-action remake of Lilo and Stitch did really, really well, did over $1 billion. So these factors and families wanting to kind of play it safe mid-July with like a hit, I could see it working. Now, I know there's like the Snow Whites that don't do well, and there are certainly Disney live-action remakes that aren't major hits, but I think that's kind of like a pendulum, and it swung back to audiences going and seeing the safe play. Even like How to Train Your Dragon was basically shot for shot. It did like 600 to 700 million. So I'm going to say high chance for this. And maybe I'm off base here, but I think there's a high chance the Moana live action remake does $1 billion. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in that tier right now. High chance. I think Toy Story 5 does more. But with The Rock being there, with it being familiar IP and families, you got to think of the kids here. This is really why I'm putting it here. You got to think of the kids. I know myself and many of you watching, and a lot of people would have no interest in this movie. Trust me, I don't either. But we're talking business here. We're talking a family in its mid-July, and it's the middle of a hot summer day, and you want to take the kids to the movie, and then Moana's out. You're like, yeah, they've seen Moana, but this is just that in live action, so let's go take them. Let's take the family. That's what's going to end up happening. It's going to have legs because there's not a lot of family movie competition in the month of July. I think Moana sniffs $1 billion. I think it gets to 1.02. So we'll see. We'll see. Next, we have the Odyssey. I want to make this known. This is my most anticipated movie of the year. I love Nolan. Oppenheimer is probably my favorite movie of the decade. This is probably #1 director all time for me, Christopher Nolan. I just don't... I struggle to say this movie makes $1 billion. In a loaded summer where you've got Moana and Spider-Man, and Oppenheimer didn't make $1 billion. People act like it did. It technically didn't. I know it almost did. I think it's going to do 850. I think it's definitely possible. In fact, I think it has a better chance than Minions to do $1 billion. But I'm not going to sit here and say high chance. Yes, Nolan is one of the few directors who really sells. Even a movie like Dunkirk, I think, did 700. So it's definitely possible. If it does 1.2 billion, won't be shocked at all. But I can't sit here and go, yeah, it has a high chance of making $1 billion. I think it's definitely in the realm of possibility for it, but I am more confident in 3 other movies coming out this summer: Moana, Toy Story, and one I'm about to talk about. Next, we have Spider-Man Brand New Day. Book it. It's doing $1 billion. I think of these movies, it's actually the one that I'm the most confident doing $1 billion. The trailer broke records for viewership within 24 hours of it being posted. We haven't seen Tom Holland's Spider-Man since No Way Home at the very end of 2021. People are clamoring for this. Really, up to this point in 2026, at this point when the movie comes out, there won't have been a huge superhero movie event. Supergirl is not that, unfortunately. It's just not. Let's call it what it is. Spider-Man with Tom Holland, with a bunch of villains, with Zendaya being the star she is, with the social media hype for this movie, with it just being Spider-Man, Spidey sells. Every time one of these movies comes out, they do better and better. Spidey sells. I wouldn't be shocked this got close to $2 billion. High chance, in fact, of all the movies on this list, guaranteed. Right now, I would say that these two are guaranteed to do $1 billion. Moana's almost a guarantee for me. That's why they're the 3 that I put in high chance. These two, with the year we're having, by the way, because the box office is doing really well, would not be surprised if these did $1 billion. Comfortably having those 3 that I have in the top in the $1 billion tier, though. So we shall see, but Spidey is doing $1 billion for sure. Next, we have the next Insidious movie, which I had to look this up because I was like, didn't Insidious The Red Door not do great? It technically did all right, but I just don't know. I think The Conjuring actually outgrosses Insidious when I looked side by side. It's a bigger seller. So I just would say this has no shot. No shot. It's a horror movie. It'll make money, mind you. The budget's going to be low, $10, $20, $30 million budget. It could probably make $100 million. These movies sell. It make $200 million almost, but it is not even coming close to $1 billion. Then we have Coyote vs. Acme again, no shot. I think people will show up in good faith, but I think this one might make the least out of any movie on this. And then you got Dog Stars, which, by the way, I just lied to you guys. Dog Stars is doing the worst. Dog Stars looks very mad. It looks like a movie that belongs on Netflix. It's Ridley Scott. He doesn't sell. It's 2026. None of these movies are doing all that great. I don't think these will do well for what they are. Very unlikely they get to the $1 billion range. They're not really vehicles designed to do that. These are like coin tosses. If they catch fire on social media, they could get maybe there. It's certainly possible, definitely possible for the Odyssey and Minions and Monsters to reach that. So I won't be shocked if they do. And the high chance movies, these are doing $1 billion. For sure Spidey, for sure Toy Story 5, and most likely Moana, unless it just absolutely stinks and the drop from 1 to 2, week 1 to week 2 is abysmal. But we'll see. That's kind of my read on the summer box office scene. Let me know yours down below. How are you feeling? Which movies make $1 billion? Which ones don't come close? Let me know. Hit that like button, subscribe, and that notification bell. Be on the lookout for more videos coming very soon. But thank you guys, as always, for watching. And until next time, I'll see you guys later.